Sefer that I have here in the Beis HaMedrash is called Lapid Eish, Flame of Fire. It is the life story of the Kloisenberger Rav, Sefer Tzadik Livrocha. In particular, they talk about the time when the Kloisenberger Rav was in the concentration camp. He suffered a lot. But what bothered him most was that he was thirsty and they did not provide enough drinking water. He was locked up in a room, cold and freezing in the winter, hot in the summer. But the room had a crack in the wall. And when the Kloisenberger Rav looked through this crack, he saw a flowing river. The Kloisenberger Rav had a dream. Night after night, he was dreaming that a time will still come when he will be able to drink some water from the flowing river. Months went by, years went by, and then one day the Eisenhower armies came and they tore down the doors of the concentration camp. Many of them, or most of them, couldn't even walk out. They were carried out. They were pulled out. And when they got out, they went around circles. They didn't have where to go because their families perished. The father was dead, the mother was dead. And they walked around in circles. They didn't have where to go. But the Kloisenberger Rav knew where he wants to go, and he dragged himself to that particular river. He put his hands inside the water. He filled up his palms with the water, and he said, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, shehakol niyeh b'dvoroi. He drank. He was refreshed, and later on he explained. And he said to the people, to his Talmidim, after his Mispalalim, he said that I hope that I will still have an opportunity ever in my life to recite a bracha with the same hisoyeres, with the same kavanas that I had when I drank that water. The Chazon Ish was the Ger Rebbe that said that every generation has a mission to accomplish. And our generation has a mission as well. Our generation was given the responsibility to rebuild and to reconstruct that which occurred at the Churban. The writing of this Sefer Torah is not only a mitzvah that we wrote a Sefer Torah, but at the same time, it reconstructs the Churban. We gather here today in Zecher Nishmas, the Abacha of Perlowitz that you heard about so much. It is not only in his honor and his memory, it's also the Zecher of rebuilding the Churban. Whenever somebody is going to get an aliyah, it will also serve not only as a birchas HaTorah, but an act of rebuilding the Churban. We are all gathered here today to rebuild the Churban Europa. I want to congratulate my son Yehuda for the hundreds of hours spending with his Chaverim to collect funds. Many hours to examine various Sefer and to choose which is the best. And many hours to arrange and to select the Suda that is being served at the present time. We want to thank Mrs. Perlowitz and the entire Perlowitz family for their support and for their chizuk of the activities of Yehuda. We want to honor the presence of the Rabbonim and Rosh Yeshivas who have gathered here for this special occasion. And the Yirtzeh Hashem, the music that we just enjoyed is not going to end, but it's going to be a forerunner of future music, of Kol Zazai, the Kol Simcha, of future music, where we are all going to greet the Kabbalah, the name of Mashiach Tzidkenu, the Meher B'Yameinu, Amen.
There were many, hundreds of people that helped out financially, with advice. I want to thank everybody from the bottom of my heart. And I'm scared to say any names because as soon as I start, I know I'm going to get in big trouble. So I want to thank everybody in private, but a big public to everybody who made this possible. I'd like to now ask my Rosh Yeshiva, I love the Rosh Yeshiva, Yitzchak Kleiman, I love the learned many years in Yeshiva St. Louis, and it's a big honor to ask the Rosh Yeshiva to say a few words. Thank you.
Is that almost anything I'm going to say is superfluous. Yehuda did the job. He cleared the deck. There's really not much more to say than what you just heard from Yehuda. He explained and attached the personality of Eliezer, as he himself personally said, affectionately known as Vito. And I can't add much more, if you were listening well, than what he said. Not only did he tell you over Meisim, but he told you his personality, and he told you the drive behind it. And therefore, the next time he asks me to speak, I have to speak first. Because after you, I don't have anything to say. Second thing, I want to make a disclaimer. I really should not be speaking. And the reason I should not be speaking, because as Chatoya and Maska Hayayim, for the last 14 years, I never saw Vito. I never had any shackles, which I feel now very, very guilty. You know, when you get a traffic ticket, you say guilty with an excuse. Of those years, many of those years I spent in London. When I left St. Louis, I moved to London for 12 years. So it's guilty with an excuse. But I really am not the person to speak. The people who should speak is Yehuda, Sandy Liebhardt, other people, Yeshua Eckhouse, people who had a big chedek in his life. People who were very, very close to him after he left St. Louis. And never, I have to tell you, I'm not one of those people. Just people went their ways and went different ways. And again, many years I wasn't here. So I guess Yehuda asked me to speak because you know what it is in this world. You have a white beard and you come to a certain age and you wear kapata. So they tell you have to speak. You know, you have to have Rosh Yeshiva speak, so I guess I'm playing that role. The life of Eliezer, known affectionately as Vito, is really an extremely tragic life. Extremely tragic. Tragic that he was lifted young. Tragic from the things that befell him in life, which is no secret, which we all know. And the many trials and tribulations that he had in his life, which many of them were caused by situations where we spell every day, we shouldn't have nisyonos, we should come to nisyonos, which is too hard for us which is too hard for us. And Vito had a life which was full of nisyonos, from his childhood. There was never a step in his life where there weren't tremendous mistakes. And we don't know, we're very blind. Sadi Hashem Direv, we're very blind who passes to the Shayness, who fails to the Shayness, who has longevity, who doesn't have longevity, who lives long enough to kind of Gemara Sukkah. Actually, the Zakaim was Zeicha to come to Zikna where they can do tshuva of the Yemei Naris. And we see that by simple basis way. We don't know who was Zeicha to Asheri that he lived a long life and in his life he was able to do tshuva. We don't know. We don't know why, when, and what. We know the Shach was nifta at 42 and the Rizal in his 30s. And we know many Gedolei they were nifta very young. Very, very young. Imagine the Rizal was nifta before he was 40. And we don't understand that. We know this Chavi Yainish, and we know that Torah tells us that Kibbutz brings longevity. And we know everything that befalls a person that's bad is Averas, and everything that's good is mitzvahs. But we don't know every prat and prat, even though we know everything is Chavi Yainish. But we don't know, well, Chavi Yainish, this person should live to 150. And this person should live to 40. He was Malay Averas, and this person had a long life, and this person had a short life. So we don't know the answer to that. We know it's Chavi Yainish, but we don't know who has this Chavi Yainish. And it's very little from what it said. The Chavi Mitzvah by Al Lekka. And we don't know a Russia who lives to 100 and has a tremendous life, never sick and very wealthy, and everything that he would have wanted in this world, because the Moshe was giving him this world because he didn't want to give him anything in the Haba. So we don't know. Longevity is not necessarily a sign of great kedusha, but how time it was, or shach it was. But when some Russian lives to 100, we don't know. And somebody who dies young is not necessarily a sign of Valdiricious. It's a sign that was Mashiach. And why one has a chance to live a life of the tshuva and one doesn't, that's also not for us to say. So we're seeing here, and we're here today, mostly Sefer Torah, to see a tremendous tragedy. A person that everything I will say to you is superfluous. A person whose name was Chesed. A person who everybody knew him. Vito was the genuine Baal Chesed. His smile went through you. I asked J. Kemp, I said, tell me something good about Vito. Not that I didn't know myself, but I called many people this week because I didn't want to get up like a buffoon and speak something that's not true and that's not sumzach, not for somebody who knows in the last years. So I made many phone calls. To Jay, to Sandy, to all his friends, with the Yehuda, and many phone calls. And to his brother-in-law, and to his sister. And every single one, the same thing. Vito, a smile. Vito, a good word. Vito, a nice chesed. A smile, a good word, a nice chesed. A lot of people do that. But you heard from Yehuda, it was genuine. It went through you like a ches, like an arrow. The smile was not a fake smile. It was a smile of true simcha, of seeing a yid, seeing a friend, seeing somebody can help. Everybody went away. A tremendous smile, a tremendous good sky. Spent hours with people, being mechazik them in St. Louis. A younger bacha, where was the address to go for chizik? It was to Vito. And the same thing was true in Philadelphia. And the same thing was true in Passaic. You know, Chaim Davis' shul. And wherever he went, it was chizik, and he was a cook. When life became very difficult in South Fallsburg, so you have to ask some of the bachim who were in South Fallsburg when he was a cook. Not a dorm counselor, not a mechanic, a cook. How many bachim would spend nights with Vito getting chizik as a cook? Because he was a mechazik person. He was a mechazik person by his personality. By being put the mensch. The mensch was a lot lean. He was a cow, one of the safe upon the office, not with a false smile. Or else like Chazal man. Saying the office means that the person goes away feeling good. He feels uplifted. He feels mechuzek. And yet, many of the hundreds of thousands of people that he bestowed on others was when he was suffering terribly. When he was with the Cheshach, when he was just rough on a mensch, when he had nothing to fall back on. And yet, that face, that physique, that hat on the back, that hour that he spent with you, you think he was the happiest person in the world. The happiest person. A person who's usually so often can't bestow another season. He walks around down, he walks around by Atzvis, He walks around, he's not Beseder. And we didn't see that. By Vito, there was no difference when it was a good day or a bad day, or he was in a terrible, terrible matzav, in a matzav of big tzibrochakai, deep b'toy choshech, deep b'toy the things that were mispalled that shouldn't happen to us, and yet, Klapi, look, and let Klapi other people, he was a tremendous, nobody could know. If people didn't know when Vito was suffering, they couldn't ever guess that here's a bacha who's being mechazik me and suffering himself. I want to tell you one Maisa. Maisa was when the Doi Hador from the last door. I think they say pictures of 1,000 words. So this Maisa may be 1,000 words. There was a Baal whose name was Hill Little Good. The Lomshe Rosh Yeshiva was there at the top of the rock. So the Doi Hador, brought Yeshiva from Lomshe, set it up in Eretz Yisrael. There's a little God in the earth. Doi Rosh Yeshiva was in the early, for the Friedrich Gadol. And he lost a son that an Arab shot his son who was a big Mitsulian. And he used to go around saying, Dad, Zut for mine, and it ran a dog. And he didn't have a big family. And that son was a tremendous tragedy. He was shot by an Arab, and he was 21 or 22, and the Lomshe Yeshiva Tzatzit murdered him. And wherever he went, he was smiling and laughing. So somebody asked him, Lomshe Yeshiva, how can you be simcha? And it wasn't that long after the material. He said, how can you be simcha? It's such a tragedy. You greet people, you laugh, you smile, you misameach them. So the Lomshe Yeshiva said, my heart is Rishus HaYochid, and my face is Rishus HaRabbi. That's what he answered. So my face belongs to the rabbi. My heart belongs to myself. That's Rishus HaYochid. And it would be wrong for me to show you my heart. What I have in my heart, that's my business. What I have for the rabbi, that my face is Rishus HaRabbi. And I don't mean to be Madama, Vito, Lomshe Yeshiva, but I need to tell you that fits perfectly Vito's life. Whatever his heart, his suffering was, his face was a big, long, wide Rishus HaRabbi of chesed and toiv and gutzkeit and chesed to help people, and the heart, you never knew what was in the heart. Rishus HaRabbi. I was driving yesterday with Yeshua Eckhouse, who's very close to it, saying, I said, as we were driving, I said, let me have a good nice of Vito. Let me have something nice. He could have 100,000 things. So this is the following nice he told me. He said, one day, they were riding from the dormitory in Philadelphia to the Spanish. That's about 500 feet. And Vito jumped on the car. Vito was a tremendous les. Before he started talking, he started laughing. In a good way. He started laughing. Because he had a heart, a personality of Av and Simcha. He was an unbelievable mimic. He knew how to mimic, how to imitate people. He started laughing when you saw him. Not slapped away, not laughing at him, laughing with him. She says he jumped on the car, and the car hit a bump, and he went flying off the car. He fell off the car. So his wrist was hurting, and he saw the next thing or two, and he's holding his wrist. Is that happened from the car accident? No, it's nothing. Scratch. It's nothing but nothing. 2 days later, to convince him that his hand was not broken when he fell off the car. That's special. That's not a typical Meister. It's a special Meister. That's a Meister not to make somebody feel bad. And there are thousands and thousands and thousands of Meisters that we can stay here till next week at this time and tell you, Vito this and Vito that, Vito this and Vito that. The Chesed,
legendary. But I want to leave you with something which I think is important. I have to say it over B'Shem Omri. I called one of the people I called was Sandy Liebhardt, who meant a lot to Vito in his life, and Vito meant to him, believe it or not.
And Sandy used to have in his house for Shabbos during very difficult times. And we befriended him on Pesach, we befriended him on all very, very difficult occasions. So I said to Sandy, we spoke about a couple of nice things he do us, we laughed, and we spoke about this nice and that nice stuff. And Sandy said to me, you know, you gotta leave people with a message. I said, you're 100% right. And this is the message from Sandy Liebhardt, which I am supposed to say over. The message is the following. There were thousands of people who were never from Vito, never from his talking to Chazak people, but tremendous honor from him. Tremendous. They went away feeling better, they felt away uplifted. And Vito, because he had one flaw in his personality, he had no self-confidence. His self-confidence was zero. He had no reason for it. He had a beautiful personality, he was a charismatic fellow, he was strong, but he never gained a self-confidence that a person needs in his life. And Vito always felt, when he's talking to somebody, that the person is doing him a favor for talking to him. He say, thanks for giving me time, thanks for talking to me, I appreciate it so much, he spent the time to talk to me, and always felt that the person who's talking to him is doing him a favor. And it was kun fakir. Most of the time, the person that Vito was talking to, he was doing that person a favor. By cheering him up, by giving him physics. It doesn't make enough for you know, if a person is wealthy or famous or this, you know, people need massages. People need a thank you in life. They need a chizuk in life. It doesn't make enough for you know how wealthy they may be, or how smart they may be, or how successful they may be. And Vito, I would say, 99% of the time was being a chazak, the person that he was talking to. I say, what to learn from Vito's life, that would have been a wonderful thing if the person who was talking would say, you know, Vito, I want you to know something. I know you feel that I'm doing you a favor for talking to you. I want you to know you're doing me a favor. I say to him, Emily, I appreciate that you spent the time to talk to me. And maybe, Ulai, we can learn from this for the future. That maybe that would have given Vito the chizuk and the self-confidence for him to do many, many things that he wasn't able to do because of that lack of self-confidence. So the chizuk is, sometimes you say to a person, you know, you have it all wrong. You think I'm a favor, you're doing you a favor. It's just the opposite, you're doing me a favor. And then two people go away with chizuk. The person that Vito was machazek and Vito himself. Maybe she's a helping that what he did, and his accomplishments, the Bereshit will pay him well in the world to come. Nelam haba. And all we have to learn from this is that this is not the final step. The Messiah is only the beginning. It's not even the beginning. It's the pruzda. And we have to live with that creed and understand that creed and understand it's not for us to be done. It's not for us to say more life, short life. We have a whole lot of our we're all the schusim and the unshim of the world to come. So the Edshalfen, the Shomas along the Leah, and schusim, the Sefer, the Zanimus. The Leah, the Zanishama, and the Zechazayim, that when he didn't have in this world, the Zechazayim, all his chesed and Sodom, Zechazayim.
I just wanted to let them know we have a magic show inside by magician David Black for all the kids.
Shoich Asirim Eseni Shemas HaBocher Elazar ben Reuven Shehalach Le'olamoi Bavur Shvili Neder Nader Tzedaka Tiyadas Koras Nishmasoi
Say the greatest magician in the world. Most people do that. You just say, could you do it? Practice it. Introducing David Blatt. Say it loud. Now give a round of applause. That was excellent. Now I want you to do it with the magic wand. Take the magic wand, wave it, and say, introducing David Blatt. Let's go. And move this case away, please. And let's go introduce that. Oh no, Benjamin. Benjamin, do me a big favor. Just introducing David Blatt with the magic wand. Take it, please. Thank you. Now introducing Benjamin. Okay, you're doing a good job. Okay, you know what? Forget about. Let's get something else here. Okay. How about this? How about this? Just take this bell and ring it, and go David Blatt. Okay, and then we'll start the show. Great. Now go. No, you have to ring the bell, Benjamin. What's going on here? Uh-oh. David Blatt. Here we go. Just ring the bell. Here we go. Very easy. Give him a round of applause anyway. He did a great job, Benjamin. We're going to have great fun, but I must say that there are little children. We're going to do some illusions that might scare them. Okay? If anybody has bad dreams tomorrow, you can call Shragi Tov. I'll give you his phone number, and you can call him any time of the night. Okay. But for the first effect, I need somebody, and I must say before I continue, that many of you have seen me before. Not at the adult shows, of course, right? You're not an adult yet. But if you've seen a trick before and you know it, please don't shout out, I know it. Don't ruin it for somebody who has not seen it, okay? Now, I need a, thank you, my assistant. I need a brave volunteer, a very